Okay, what I'm hoping to do is I found an outhouse in Vernon, and I took a photograph. It was set in the back, sort of in the woods. And I decided that I would put hollyhocks growing alongside of the outhouse, which were not there. So I'm going to add that to my painting. What I'm doing now is I've just sort of drawn the outline or the shape of the outhouse. And there were bushes here, there are all kinds of trees. So I'm going to put in a background. And from another photo, I chose my hollyhocks from another photo that I have. And I took that and I collaged it onto the photo of the outhouse, just so I have an idea of what I'm planning to do. So there's the outhouse. There, I've just cut out some of the hollyhocks. I will make sky. I'm going to alter this photograph or scene to suit my purposes, but it will be basically the hollyhocks that intrigue me. I read online that originally outhouses were hollyhocks. Hollyhocks were called outhouse flowers because people wanted to just sort of beautify the area and make the focus not the outhouse, but the beautiful hollyhocks. So what I've done the drawing. I've taken some Gamsol with ultramarine blue and transparent oxide red, and just sort of filled in where the outhouse is going to be. I intend to wipe out when I'm all done with what I'm planning on doing as my initial wash. And then I'm going to wipe out my areas where there will be hollyhocks and the light and shadow on the building. So my next color that I'm using now will be my Viridian with a little bit of the transparent oxide red. And now I'm just going to fill in the area that will be here. So I'm not being fussy with it. I might even every once in a while take one of the other colors like a yellow and put that in there. I'm using a very nice soft rosemary 279 brush, which I like, very resilient. So I'm going to put those colors back here where I plan to have flowers, and looking back into the woods behind it, because that's basically, there were lots of bushes and trees. There were fields behind this one. Very lovely, beautiful farmhouse. I know they're not using the outhouse anymore, but it's, it's there and it's very pretty. So what I'm doing now is just putting where that's going to be. Then I also, because I know what I want to do, I'm going to take a little bit of some other colors and just start to fill in maybe a blue. Even though my brush is a little dirty, I don't care. I have a little bit of cobalt blue here. I'll take the cobalt, make a wash out of that. I'm going to put that back there. I might even add a little bit of alizarin to that. My colors are dried up. And just fill in what I'm planning on doing, making hills or some sky poking through. But it is the just so that my focus will be the outhouse. I might even put a little bit of that alizarin in here, just so that when I begin to paint areas of the canvas are not totally covered, that these colors will be the ones that will show through. Certainly I'm going to lighten that sky and also that. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the Viridian and a little bit of yellow. I'm going to get that down here. I'll take the cadmium yellow and Viridian. And just know that this is going to be my grass. I'm going to have bushes. As I work, I know I'll change my plans a little bit. So I'm not being very fussy about it, but just so also what I'm going to do next is show you that that I also am going to have a path coming to the outhouse. So if I have this much done, and I know that these are just preliminary sketch so that I can see if I have everything right, the angle of the outhouse goes up and then it would go back, but there will be bushes there, but we will see that part of it. So what I have to do now is take my paper towels, the Viva, wrap it around my finger, and I'm taking a little bit of Gamsol, and I'm going to clear out where I want the hollyhocks that will really be the focus, you know, where I need to put a nice, beautiful pink. Now, there are a couple ways that you can do this. You can do what I'm doing. You could take one of your tools, the Kemper tool, and actually decide, all right, I know that I'm going to put a hollyhock here. I can draw my shape and wipe out, draw it first like that. Just take my paper towel and wipe out. So I am looking at the photograph that I have. I'm also know that these buds are made this a very tall flower. And it's biennial, I think. Try to grow them once, and you have to have the right spot or they don't grow. Mine never really matured, but I just want to be sure that you know. And it's really interesting that as I'm working like this, you know, this is not going to be my final shape. I'm going to work around it. But as I'm working, I'm looking at it and saying, you know, I really like it already. I like what I see. Finally think I found something to do that I want to do. And you know, there'll be leaves down here. Some of them were not every leaf is highlighted. You know, we have some in the foreground. Some of them are back a little bit, but this is where I'm at. I want to be careful not to overdo it. I know there will be some that I want sort of to come along. This is the path. They're growing along the path. This is my path. I'm going to just wipe out a little bit of that. And it's not like a sidewalk. It's a path. So the path would be irregular in shape. I know that. In my photograph, it's not there. It's grass, just grass. They had a garden over, you know, closer to the house and tulips. But this pleases me more. This is what I'm hoping to accomplish here. And a good thing about this is you can look at it and you can decide whether or not anything has to be different or changed. There will be leaves, definitely. There'll be more flowers. Let's face it, if you wanted, you could make them sunflowers. That would be nice and hide the outhouse itself, which, by the way, was rather attractive. Very nicely painted white. So I'll decide, you know, how much of that I want to keep, how much I want to change. I want to make sure a leaf crosses over a little bit. Then the next thing I want to do, and there'll be other flowers here, I think. I want to make it a garden. I like gardens. So the next thing I want to do is wipe out the sunlight that is on that building. And it's rather a strong shadow, strong, you know, area of light and shadow. So this part right here, I want to wipe out some of it. This here is in shadow. Actually, what I did is not high enough. So I'm just going to take my paper towel. I am going to go over it, all this with, you know, thick paint. So I don't have to be too worried about whether I've done it exactly right. But I do want to leave a little bit of the undercolor so that when I do put the sunlight part in, I'm still going to leave, there'll still be some of the boards showing the siding, and it's all going in a downward direction. And then I almost think, then I also have, I just want to indicate, and for this part right now, I'm just going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to get the area right here that is part of the overhang, and right here, part of the overhang of the trim, I guess. And then there's a little bit here. I want to be careful because that is in the shadow. And then here, so now this Q-tip's already had it. So I'm going to take another one, wet it a little bit, because I want this to be a little higher. That's going to be a little higher. And here is part of the side here. Trying to think. Here comes all the way down. Let me get the paper towel and bring it right down to where I want it to be, right here. And then this, of course, is going to be green. So I'm going to go back with my brush, and I'm going to just do some undercolor there with my transparent oxide red and my Viridian mixture, so that you know there are going to be bushes here. And the undercolor is darker. And all those wonderful lights are going to show up better. Let me see if I take that and know that. And there is a bottom here. I just want to put that line there so I know that's where the building ends. And again, there will be shadows. I might even, looking at it, make my flowers a little bigger. I don't want them to be picky dots. But it's at this point that I sort of had a pretty good idea. I'm going to stand back. I'm going to look at what I did. And then I'm going to proceed from there. One other thing, there is a line, which is really good to put in now because it might be difficult later. So, and it definitely shows where the door starts. And and then there'll be shadows coming down and the edge of the door. So we know this is where the door really begin. This is the door. Hard to do it straight, but when I work on it, it'll be easier. And then I see, I might do that now, just a couple cast shadows, that there are trees up here that are casting the shadow down from above. And I'm going to stand back and look at what I did and decide whether it's going to work. And quite frankly, it's really looking to me like something I'm going to be happy with. What I also want to do is just lighten up that sky a little bit, because that is going to shine through. Now I wiped, when I did that, I sort of hit some of what I've done, and it doesn't matter because this is only showing my plant. And I wasn't sure when I started whether it's going to work and whether I'm even going to like it or be excited about it. But to tell you the truth, I am. I'm excited about this because I can see now that I'm going to be able to add some really nice shadows and sunlight on this pathway. And then certainly the sunlight hitting the building. And then one of my favorite flowers of all, the hollyhocks, and I'll be able to spend time working on them. I've only done, I shouldn't say only, I've done quite a few paintings with hollyhocks, and some of them were, on a garden tour in Spring Lake. And that garden now, that was a kind of garden that I could have gone back 10 times, but they have changed it to a very trim, low garden, and all those beautiful hollyhocks and hydrangeas and foxglove and all the stuff that was growing up like a gorgeous English garden is gone. I was so disappointed when I went back last year to check it out and to see if it was still there and if I could have permission to paint there, which the owner would have given me, but it just didn't interest me anymore. This is what I'm looking for, sort of Nantucket or Maniloking or some of those areas on the Jersey Shore that have the houses that the siding is that brownish gray. It's still there, so hopefully I can go back, and if I can't paint there, I will get, I've had last year, I also got beautiful photographs there. So I think I have this part done for now. And I'm going to continue with this in just a few minutes.